Welcome to Virtually Live, the podcast where we get insights from marketing leaders and event professionals. I'm Ashley, Content Marketing Manager at Kaltura. In today's episode, Nohar Zmora, Kaltura's VP Brand and Strategic Marketing, is joined by Jennifer Sachs, VP of Brand Insights and Technology at Salesforce. Doubling your engagement is pretty good. Tripling it is even better. But what about increasing engagement by 536%? Salesforce did it by leveraging technology and their community for huge marketing success. And now we get to hear about it. Enjoy!
The story that we'll be telling today is truly a story of post-pandemic innovation, resilience, of breaking the barriers on audience engagement, community building, and achieving some very, very impressive business outcomes. To share with us this story, I'm honored to be sharing the stage today with Jennifer Sachs, who has been with Salesforce for more than 13 years and has an incredible and diverse career path. Jenny is currently VP Brand Insights and Technology at Salesforce. But first, she worked through the ranks of customer and market insights, and also has significant experience in Salesforce technology, communications, and go-to-market. I'd love if you can please tell us about a typical day of yours and what are you responsible for at Salesforce?
Yeah, so you mentioned my title and the two big descriptors are in there, insights and technology. So my job is to make sure that we are realizing our event experiences to help unlock marketing performance. And that is in-person event experiences. So everything from the network and the mobile app you are engaging with at a convention center through to our virtual broadcasts on Salesforce Plus, which we'll talk a little bit more about today. So my typical day is really looking at what events are ahead of us, what questions do we have that we need to learn sort of from our audiences, where the insights part comes in, really just understanding at depth who we are building for, what we need to build, and how we can help them connect more deeply with Salesforce.
Sounds like an amazing role. And Jenny, you mentioned briefly Salesforce Plus, and I want to take a few more minutes to talk about this very unique streaming platform or TV experience that Salesforce has built, which is quite unusual, I'd say, in the B2B ecosystem. And from my perspective, a real representation of how Salesforce is, has this approach of learning from B2C, something that you guys infuse to quite everything you do. And Salesforce Plus has really grown over the years and has an almost unmeasurable impact. And I know that it was built in response to the pandemic, with in-person events on the decline and everyone staying at home, and that you guys were looking for ways to build one central place to connect with the Salesforce community, the famous trailblazers, and to stream and share your regional and educational video content and live event. So I'd love if you can tell us the story, the juicy story of how Salesforce Plus came to be, what its goals are, and where are you seeing it going?
Yeah, as you mentioned, it was a pandemic play. I don't think any of us really want to go back to 2021, but we probably remember, in the wake of the pandemic that we were struggling with how do we still connect with our audiences. We were a big in-person events shop. We've since returned to that as well, which is great. But at the time, we were really struggling with how do we connect and bring those experiences to our community. And so we wanted to have a platform and a tool where we could create that connection and build relationships, but also be able to use the data and the engagement that we collect through that platform to fuel further marketing journeys. And as you mentioned, we were inspired not so much by just a generic, we're going to put video up on our website kind of play, which we had before, and it was functional, but we really wanted to take a page from the consumer playbook. So we were looking at the Netflixes and the Disney Plus and the Hulus of the world, which, we're all familiar with at this point, that we wanted to make it super easy and engaging to find our content, to engage with it, to participate live, to participate on demand, to kind of build your curated experience within sort of our container. So we really focused on personalized content, making it hyper relevant to the participant or attendee that was there, super easy to navigate and watch. We didn't quite anticipate people necessarily doing the Netflix 6-hour binge, but we wanted to make it easy and consumable, and to take you on journeys through your life cycle with us. So as you would come back, we'd be promoting new content, or if you'd done an intro session, we were going to recommend sort of the next level up. And what we didn't know going in is sort of what would happen from that. It was a sort of a bold idea. As you can see a little bit from the look and feel of the site, it very much feels more like a consumer identity, similar Netflix style experience. But over the last couple of years, we've really seen it take off as our home for virtual events and sort of live broadcasts. We focus a lot on engagement as a conduit for understanding what our community wants to hear from us. So they're there, they're clicking on things, they're engaging with certain topics, they're watching or not watching certain content. So we're looking at metrics like, watch time, click-throughs on CTAs, chat engagement, all of that. And we use that to plan our content slate, but also to give feedback to our messaging teams, to our product teams, so that we can do things like optimize content length, maybe rebrand the product if people don't understand what we're talking about or need more explainers on things. So, we're constantly using the data that we get out of Salesforce Plus to understand how we can be driving a better impression with our target audiences, how we can be building more community and more engagement over time.
So I love it. It sounds like the data, the analytics that you guys are monitoring from Salesforce Plus are really helping you inform the customer journey. And it leads me right in to ask you a bit deeper, like, how do you measure this content? You mentioned a few metrics, happy to hear more about it. And how are you using this strategy to create these feedback loops and to fit into your future initiatives?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things we've relied on is a lot of the engagement data we get out of Kaltura, which, previously we would sort of get, did somebody watch? Roughly how long did they watch? But we want to know, are they actively paying attention to the screen? Are they engaging with, calls to action? Are they clicking through to things? That's really important because it helps us tune our content strategy. So, for example, with prospects over the last year, we noticed a drop in engagement around the 20-minute mark of our sessions, and we were doing about an hour-long broadcast. So we started doing 20-minute, sort of more bite-sized broadcasts targeted at those newer audiences, and instead focused on how do we do deeper, more hands-on training. We just launched virtual workshops at our recent developer conference for audiences that are more embedded into our ecosystem and part of our community and are looking for sort of that richness and detail. So it's allowed us to a little bit differentiate offerings by audience, and we wouldn't have known that if we weren't, again, watching the engagement data. We'll also look at chat engagement. It's a great place to get reaction to how people are feeling about a particular announcement, but also if there's a lull in the chat, we sort of recalibrate on what were we talking about at that point, and did we make sure that we're bringing people through these virtual channels into the conversation with us. So it's led us to think much more about moderated chat experiences, utilizing things like polls and CTAs to allow our audience to feel more engaged in that. And even little things like we introduced emoji reactions last year at Dreamforce. And, I think we all love emojis in our day-to-day lives. I admit I was a little skeptical, like, is this going to work? Are people going to want to do smiley faces? But we saw an over 500% increase in our engagement and people staying glued to the screen. And if you really think about any of these events, job number one is we want them to consume the content and consume the message. And engagement is a way that we keep them interested and also have mile markers throughout the session or the event. Sometimes our events are full days to know, where did we nail it? Where do we have some opportunities to enhance? So it's a real-time feedback indicator that's incredibly valuable. I mean, it is the time of AI. So we are all in on AI and how it can drive personalization. Last year, we tested a kind of an AI-backed quiz. So anybody who came to Dreamforce could take a quick 3-question quiz, and we would pre-populate a set of recommendations for you on sessions to attend, workshops, networking, activities, et cetera. We saw a more than 300% increase in people adding things to their agenda, and particularly in virtual events, getting them to add something to their calendar improves your show rate. And improving your show rate means you get more opportunity to share your message with them. So we're looking to do more of that throughout the year. We're exploring some sort of concierge-like AI-led experiences to help people feel like they've got a personal assistant through the entire journey and life cycle with us of an event. So that's what I'm excited about is doing that for the year and figuring out what AI can help us unlock. I think people are a little bit skeptical of AI, and we've seen AI come in a massive way, but what data is it really accessing, and how do I know that I can trust it? And we hear, stories about hallucinations. We've all seen the, images where somebody has a third hand, and it's sort of how much can you trust it? So that's really been our focus, is trusted AI for the enterprise, and your data not being our product as a company, but using the data that you have to inform the insights and generate efficiencies and productivity that you want to see within your organization. So what we do sort of through the events lens is how do we demonstrate and show some of those use cases in a way that feels really accessible and familiar. We always want to be using our own technology in sort of best in class way. So we're really focusing on how AI can fuel engagement. Like, it's great to have AI pop up and say this, that, and the other thing, or it's easy to, I think, just paint everything with an AI broad brushstroke. But we're really wanting to understand how AI can help fuel engagement, and that really comes from letting AI help personalize and make an overwhelming set of data feel small and connected. For Dreamforce, for example, we have more than 1,000 sessions. I don't expect any attendee to sit and filter through 1,000 sessions. That's a great use case for AI to come in and say, who are you? What are you hoping to get out of this event? And let the AI, generate, so here's your perfect day. And when we've done that, when we've allowed AI to curate sort of a closer set of recommendations and something that feels less overwhelming, we've taken the big universe and made it smaller. We actually see that that's a great jumping off place for people to drive engagement. So nearly 80% of all of our agendas last year were started from that AI-led quiz that allowed them to sort of quickly add things together. So I think of AI as an enabler rather than sort of a big scary thing. And that's really what Salesforce as a company is also trying to do with Copilot, and being able to use it to enhance and add to rather than sort of replace or be a lever that's overutilized. So trying to use AI in smart and intentional ways to add to the experience.
I love that. So thank you so much, Jenny. It was a pleasure. And I hope to see you, Jenny, again.
Thank you to our guests, and thank you for tuning in. Join us next time for another episode of Virtually Live, the podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.